day, go to sleep, and to know that in 2 days you have exams coming up, you know, your spring break is about to come, and all of a sudden your family gets taken away. You're the head of your family, your father. He ends up getting taken away, and you see your father in handcuffs and crying, hugging your mom, and you see both of your parents crying. And I don't think I've ever grown up as much as I did in that moment when I saw my dad and my mom hugging each other, crying, surrounded by 11 ICE agents. And at that moment, I realized that one or two things was going to happen. That either I was going to go to Colombia, or that I was just going to have to stay here and fight. And so me and my mom, we made a decision. We made the decision to turn ourselves in and to go seek our father. And we went. The ICE agents, they basically told us that, everything will be all right. They told us that we were going to get out that night, and we were going to be back home petting our dog that same night. That night, we were taken in. We were detained. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen when an immigration person gets detained, you get handcuffs right here in your wrist and right here, and you're handcuffed like this, so you can't touch your face, basically. And you get handcuffs in your feet, your both ankles right here. And and so, you have to see your dad and yourself in this situation where you're just handcuffed. And the worst part of it all is seeing the women, like the woman that you most love, that everyone should mostly love. You have to see your mom crying as she sees you and your father being treated like criminals, that we never did anything, we never hurt anyone. And my mom was crying. Then we get in this car, and they're like, all right, we're gonna take you guys to jail. And then, that's like the worst thing that could happen, especially when you haven't done anything bad. So they take us to jail. And in this car ride, it's just me and my dad are on one side, and my mom's on the other side. And I could just hear my mom praying and crying, and I could just see my dad, like, being so sad that he let his son be in this situation. Even though both my parents had no control over the situation that I found myself in, they both blamed themselves. And when, as a kid, you don't, as an adult, as anything, you don't want to feel like you're at fault for somebody else's, like, grief about what's going on. Me and my parents were taken, and then at that moment, I hugged my mom, and my dad hugged us while we were still wearing the chains. So it was kind of like penguin hugs. We managed to make it happen, and we hugged, and then 6 days, after 6 days of being in prison, well, first I'll tell you guys how prison was like, because I know that everyone wants to know how prison was like. So we get to prison, so it's my mom, she gets taken to, like, the ladies' side, and me and my dad were taken to the men's side. Once we found ourselves on the men's side, they take off our clothes. They give us this like blue jumpsuit looking thing that says like ICE detainee, and you just find yourself like you have no clothes, like you have just your underwear, and you just don't know what to think. You just don't know what to feel. You don't know what's next. They give you this like really raggedy blanket, and they give you like a little mattress. And all you have to do is like, you go and we were taken to the cells, to our little block. And in this block, there was like the top-notch criminals. Like, it was called like Maxim 2, it was called. And then in this maximum security cell, the first thing that happened when we walked in was people were like holding themselves against the bars saying, oh, we're gonna get you, Prince, fresh meat. And that's like the worst thing that anybody could ever hear as you go into jail, because you just start getting scared and scared. So that night I managed to sleep, but I saw my dad, so worried about what was gonna happen to us next. The next day I was able to see my mom, but I only saw her from far away. And she tried to come up to me and hug me. And her guard didn't know that she was my mom, so she kind of pulled her out and she was like, no, what are you doing? Like, you can't touch somebody else. And I saw my mom's face just start crying, saying, that's my son, that's my son. And then like, I could like, as a man, you think that, you know, you have to be tough or something, but at that moment, I couldn't. I just started crying. Like, I've never been so sad. Like, that somebody was not gonna let me hug my own mother. So I was taken away. Then the next 3 days, we were in prison, still in the maximum security place. We would not see like sunlight at all. We wouldn't see any sunlight. If we were lucky, we got a shower, because and if we took a shower, we would have to put on our dirty clothes again. So it was kind of like counterproductive to take a shower and then put on your dirty clothes again. Anyways, after that, stuff seemed to start getting better. We were getting visits, and at this point, I thought, like, best thing now is I just want to get out of this jail, whether I end up in Colombia, like, I just want to get out of here. And this was like what we all agreed on. And then after that, I started getting visits from friends. They're saying, we can't promise you anything, but something big is going on out there. And I would be like, I thought that I was just trending, maybe, that I might have had like a Facebook page. So I thought that was cool. But I had no expectations. I didn't know what to expect. All I know is that last day there, we were locked down because they have to switch guards. So they have to like lock everybody in their cells, so that you could like get out, so that the guards can switch shifts and you don't do anything crazy. And then I just remember that this guard came in and opened our door and was like, ICE wants to talk to you. And when you're in jail for immigration, like the last people you want to see are the ICE agents. And then they took us in and they were like, we got to talk to you guys. They put us in a place, and then, at this point I was, all right, I'm going to Colombia. Like, this is it. And then they were like, all right, they gave me my regular clothes, the one that I was detained with. And then they were like, all right. So, I thought, it was coming back to me. And then they would walk around with these, like, a lot of keys to open a lot of different doors. So the keys sounded like chains. And I was thinking like, oh, that's the chains that they're gonna tie me here and here and make me look like a penguin again. So I was like, okay. So, I heard the keys, like, just rolling by. And then the guy opens the door. He's like, all right, you guys can come out. And then this guy, this ICE agent was like, all right, you guys just have to sign here and you can go home. And we were like, me and my parents. But at this point, I didn't know what home was. I was in there, so I was like, all right, yeah, let's go to Colombia. So, so I was like, okay, I was like, they're like, and then the guy says, so who's gonna pick you up? And then I'm like, I thought I was gonna go back in the car with my mom and my dad with the chains. I was like, all right, I did it once, I can do it once again. And no, the guy's like, no, I can't let you go unless you have a ride. And then I realized what this meant. I realized that they were gonna let me out of the prison and come back to this home, to my actual home. And so when this happened, I realized that something outside of that prison had grown so big that you guys, all your efforts were the ones that took me and my family out of where we were at. And I will forever be thankful to each and every one of you guys for being able to do that, because I don't know how you guys did it. I don't know what you guys did. I hear rumors that you guys were in the basement. And then all of a sudden, so the best part was seeing my mom. I see my mom, and you know, she's right there, and she's like, the guy's like, you know, sign the document so you can leave. And we're like, okay. So my mom, she just really wants to sign that, get over with it so she could give me a hug. She even asks the guard there, she's like, can I hug my son? And the guy's like, no, not yet. Like, you will be able to. I'm like, just a little bit. And then like my mom was like, okay. At this point, she was just so eager to just hug me that it was insane. Like, I felt it. And then, so then we get walked out through the back door to the most wonderful day that I've had, because the weather was amazing. We were by Ocean City, so you know there's that breeze, that ocean breeze that's around that area. And then you could just hear the seagulls, like, you know, whatever sound they make. I'm not even gonna try to make the sound because it would be pointless. And then he put us in the back of his car, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna get you guys across like this big fence, and then you guys are free to go. And then we couldn't